Alright, after reading through a few of the comments from my last video, it's safe to say that you all want Inkwell Isle 2. And that's exactly what I'm gonna give you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cuphead Expert Mode, but every boss has 10x HP, Inkwell Isle 2. Just a bit of backstory, I had a joke about making a Cuphead mod which multiplied all boss HP by 10, and for some reason I took that joke literally and I actually made it. If you have absolutely no brain cells left and for some reason want to try out this mod, you can check the description and download the mod for yourself. But before heading on to Inkwell Isle 2, I've got to go over the rules for this challenge. The rules are very simple. I was going to start from a new save file, and in this video, I'm going to be beating every single Inkwell Isle 2 boss with the mod on Expert Mode. Just in case you missed part 1 where I beat every single Inkwell Isle 1 boss, I'll link the video in the description for you to watch after this video, obviously. And that's pretty much it. Again, before this video begins, I do want to give a big shout out to GOTGM on YouTube, because without his help, this mod wouldn't even be created, so big shout out to him. And finally, if you do want to see Inkwell Isle 3, which has hands down the hardest bosses in this entire mod, comment down below Inkwell Isle 3 and get this video to some amount of likes, whatever, I don't care. Just make sure that I know you want to see it. And with all that said, let's get straight into this challenge. What better way to start the challenge and to start Inkwell Isle 2 with a fan favorite? We're of course talking about Sample. Nope, that joke's dead. We're talking about Beppi the Clown. That's right, of course, we're ready to beat up some clowns. The first phase of this boss fight is what I consider to be the easiest phase. In this phase, he has 3,145 HP, and all of his attacks are really easy. Well, technically he only has one attack, and that's where he dashes across the screen. But there's also the ducks that go across the screen, but they can easily be taken out with pretty much any shot you choose, so overall, not a bad phase. After we shoot him enough, he finally decides he's done with our shenanigans and jumps off. And now, of course, that means he's a balloon, and in his second phase? I don't know. This phase has 3,700 HP and is a complete 180 from the first phase. During this phase, Beppi does not actually attack us, but he does spawn tons and tons of dog balloons to come and kill us. And to make matters worse, there's also a train we have to dodge. This phase is really similar to Ribby and Croaks' final phase because there's just a lot of stuff on screen constantly. My biggest problem was I would try to dodge a dog balloon and I would just end up running right into one as they spawned. Or, you know, sometimes the dash parry would just not work. Why can't I? What the f***? Like, just look at this in slow motion. Like, what do you mean? But whatever, I just used my spread shot as much as possible for some crowd control, and I would also double jump and use my EX just like in the root pack. But finally, after way too many stupid hits and a very long time, we're finally done with this phase. Now we're in the third phase, which can be a very difficult phase if you get caught in a really weird place, but luckily we didn't. During this phase, there's two attacks that he can do. One is the green donkey attack, where he shoots horseshoes that go up and down. And the other attack is the yellow donkey attack, which basically shoots a horizontal wall of horseshoes at you with a gap, and what you have to do is make it through the gap. This phase is super easy if you know how to dodge these attacks, because sometimes if the train isn't coming, you can literally sit underneath him and deal tons of damage with the spread shot. This phase has 3,330 HP, but of course we make quick work of it with our spread shot. Well, you know, quick is relative. By quick I mean, you know, 4 minutes. But after that, we've got a really easy final phase. You know, it's only got like 8,325 health or whatever. Again, for this phase, we're going to be using the spread shot. It's a lot like phase 2 because we can still stand inside of his hitbox. And since we're hitting all of our spread shot bullets, we're doing some really good damage. Obviously, the only annoyance in this phase are the stupid fatherless penguins that had nobody to play catch with. But they're really easy to deal with. All we have to do is break out the roundabout shot and shoot them directly in their stupid face. And of course, to beat this phase, we have to pull off some totally sick dodges. Bro really said, excuse me. Ah! After figuring out the strategy for everything, this phase isn't interesting, and we're done, finally. Yeah! Is it gonna go longer than that? Okay. Okay. Alright. And just like that, we've defeated our first Inkwell Isle 2 boss. And obviously, you know the next ground boss that's coming up. Just kidding, we're fighting the dragon. Yeah, that's right. You thought I was gonna choose the easy way and go with Baroness. I actually got bullied by my chat. Whatever. We had to do it anyways. Might as well get it over with now. Obviously, for this fight, I'm going to be using the Lobber Shot. It's got one of the highest DPSs in the game. And for this challenge, it's just better than the Charge Shot. For his first phase, he has 6,840 HP, and he also has 2 different attacks that he can hit us with. The first attack being the Fireball attack, which is a lot like the Green Donkey attack from the Beppi fight. He shoots 3 fireballs and also occasionally will shoot a double fireball, and basically all they do is go up and down across the screen and you just have to dodge them. His next attack is this weird eyeball ring thing, I don't know. He shoots a series of 3 rings, the final ring being parryable. Since we're playing as Miss Chalice, it's really hard to actually get this parry, but it does help if we need to build up our super. After we've dealt a certain amount of damage, he's going to start using his tail attack, which isn't really an attack, it's kind of just there. He jabs his tail upwards from off screen. You just have to watch the bottom of the screen and you can see exactly where it's going to come from. As long as you're paying attention to where it is, it's not that hard to avoid. But finally, after jumping across probably 8 million different clouds, we're done with this phase. We've made it to the second phase, and if you've played this boss before, you know it's just annoying. For this phase, we're still going to be using the Lobber, and pretty much all we have to do is just parkour between clouds. The only attack in this phase are that the little flames at the bottom of the screen jump at you, but if you're constantly jumping between clouds, then they pretty much can't hit you. But, you know, this phase has the least amount of HP in the entire boss fight with 5,510, so I can't complain. Although I'm still going to, because this phase took 5 minutes. Yeah, the phase with the least amount of HP took 5 minutes. Just get me to the final phase. Great, now all we have to do is beat what people consider to be one of the hardest phases in the game with 10 times HP. Well, that's just perfect. In this phase, he shoots a ton of fireballs at you that if you deal 5 damage to, they split off in 4 directions. He has one other attack in this phase, which is his flamethrower attack. This happens right after he's done shooting fireballs, and he basically shoots 2 bursts of fire in the middle of the screen. This attack is also really easy to dodge because it's always in the middle of the screen. Usually during a challenge run, I would only attack during this flamethrower phase because no fireballs can shoot out and hit me. But the only problem with that is if I only dealt damage during that attack, then this boss would probably take multiple days, considering that this phase has 6,650 health. So I went with the risky strategy of continuously shooting my Lobber all the time. And this worked out pretty well. It's fun, kind of. Whoa. Depends what boss we're doing. Let's go. Oh. It was getting a little bit spicy there. Still not as long as Cagney. Cagney took 15:29. Now we're headed on to the boss you actually expected, Baroness Von Bon Bon. Hey, do you want to know something funny about this boss fight? Every quote-unquote mini-boss in this boss fight has more HP than the final boss. That's fun. For this video, I'm only going to be talking about the mini-bosses we got in this attempt, because if I talked about the rest of them, that would just take way too long. Of course, our first mini-boss is not EDP because I overused that joke, so we're going to call him his actual name. Mufsky... What? Whatever. His name doesn't matter. I don't care. This mini-boss, who will now be known as the Muffin Man, has 2,350 HP. What he does is jumps around like a stupid frog and leaves piles of frosting everywhere. That's literally all he does. Using the roundabout, I would just run away from him, and all my bullets would come back and hit him directly in his stupid face, and we were fine. Our next mini-boss is the Candy Corn guy. That's right, I'm not calling them by their normal names. This mini-boss has 2,500 HP, and I pretty much use the same strategy from the Muffin Man. What the candy corn does is he moves in a randomized path across the top and bottom of the screen, and also occasionally goes up the middle of the screen. In combination with this, he'll also shoot out a couple candy corn minions, which just float to the top of the screen. Since we're playing as Miss Chalice, that makes this mini-boss like 100 times easier. We can use her double jump and dash to easily clear over him and any minions he shoots out. And also, like I said, I'm just gonna use the roundabout strategy of running away and having my bullets come back and hit him. And well, that strategy worked pretty good. With that one defeated, we're on to our third and final mini-boss. What's his name? What is a Gobpacker? That sounds disgusting. Regardless of these goofy names, we still need to kill him, and luckily this is the easiest mini-boss that we could get. With 2,200 HP, you wanna know what he does? He chases you around, and that's it. The only thing any bit interesting about this mini-boss is that he has two children that you also can't touch. I gotta think before I say stuff. But yeah, I just used a combination of the roundabout and spread shot, and all I did was go in a circle until he died. And now we've made it to the actual interesting phase, which is conveniently the longest phase. And yeah, like, look at this. Oh. I thought I was on the platform! Ah! It's safe to say that I just love this phase of the boss fight. During this phase, she decapitates herself and regrows her own head and then throws it at us. She can throw up to 2 of her heads at us at the same time, and basically all they do is just follow us around. While this is happening, there's a big candy that rolls out of the front of the castle, and basically it just acts as a little annoyance, much like Grim Matchstick's tail. My strategy for this was pretty simple. Use Miss Chalice's mobility to stay on the green platform at all times. This meant that I didn't have to worry about the candy rolling out of the front of the castle, and all I had to do was use my roundabout shot and dodge any heads that she threw at me. Like every boss fight, we got the strategy down after a while, and it just took a really long time. He only did like a couple videos. Sure, okay, maybe he had like 10 times. Oh. We did it. Ooh. Didn't take as long as Beppi. See, that's why you can't get an A+. In case you haven't noticed, I've been saving the plain bosses for last because I don't want to do them. That's right, it's time to kill a bird. And guess what? This is by far the hardest boss we've faced in this challenge so far, obviously. If you saw in the intro card, I basically grouped phases 1 and 2 together because they're not technically 2 separate phases. During the first part of phase 1, mainly all he does is shoot eggs. These eggs are really easy to avoid if you go slightly off the back of the screen. Since they split into 5 parts, you can't sit on the back of the screen or else you'll get hit. So when I move a bit off the back of the screen, there's some room between the first and second eggshell that I can fit right through. The second attack he has is his finger guns. He shoots 3 bullets out of his face, hand, I don't know. He shoots these bullets much like the eggshells, and I pretty much use the same strategy to avoid them. I try and fit between the top one and the middle one just so I can keep damage on him at all times. This part of the phase has 7,000 HP, and so does the next part. The next phase is extremely long and extremely annoying. What he does is he fires an absolute massive amount of feathers at you, and what you have to do is dodge and weave in between them. What I tried to do was I tried to stay in line with his head at all times so I could keep constant damage on him. And all I would do is use vertical controls to move up and down on the back of the screen to dodge any feathers. I didn't mention that he has children, but all they do is act as meat shields, so, you know. All they try to do is run into you, and like I said, most of the time they just act as meat shields for Wally. But after putting an entire family of birds into extinction, we're on to the third phase. The third phase has 5,320 health, and the thing we're fighting is another child, and his name is Willy, which tells you all you need to know about him. What he does is he floats around and occasionally shoots at you. He also has 6 spiky eggs that float around him. Since they're spiky, that means they hurt, so we're just not supposed to touch them. Other than that, I don't have much to say about this phase. It's just a child and we have to shoot him in the face. In his final phase, he is on his deathbed with 8,680 health remaining. He has 2 attacks that he can do in this phase, the first one being he can shoot his heart out of his mouth, which has a gun in it. The heart shoots exactly like the finger guns, this time it shoots 2 bursts of 3 bullets. The other attack he can do is where he eats a Snickers and becomes his true self, a trash can. What he does is he just shoots arcing pieces of trash directly at us from his mouth. Other than this, there's the 2 ambulance birds that are carrying him. These 2 birds shoot off pills which can sometimes be parryable. Most of the time they're not, but sometimes they can. These pills split off into 2 different parts and will always aim directly where you are. And other than that, that's all they do. Pretty much for the entirety of this phase, we're going to be using the bombs. Unless I have my super, then I'm going to go down and use the pea shooter until I can use my bomb. And after a serious amount of bombs, this bird is finally dead. Ah! Victory quote. This bird, dude. Oh my god. Longest boss fight so far, 17 minutes and 28 seconds. But sadly, we all know this isle isn't over. Let's just get on to Will Smith. Now, if you know absolutely anything about this game, then that intro card looked extremely weird to you. Don't worry, I get to it. During the first phase, he has the chance to do a bunch of different attacks, but once he has a specific attack chosen, he does that for the rest of the phase. By now, you know me, I'm not talking about every single attack that he can do, I'm just going to talk about the one that we actually got in the fight. The one that we ended up getting in the fight was the sword attack. During this attack, there are 7 different spinning swords, which do have the chance to be parryable, and pretty much all they do is run at us at full speed. This phase can get extremely hectic with swords both flying from the chest and at you, but believe it or not, this is the easiest phase. And with 4,500 HP, it's an annoying phase, but a pretty quick one. Now, anybody who knows this game, I know what you're thinking. How are you gonna do the pillar phase if you can't kill the pillars in time to not die? That's what you sound like. Welcome to my master strategy of a thing called F that. I'm not doing it. In this strategy, I didn't change this phase. Ta-da. Yup, that phase has 180 health. Whatever. If I changed the HP values, it would have been impossible, so shut up. But now we're in the third phase, which, everything's back to normal. He has 7,500 health. This phase is without a doubt the easiest phase of this boss fight. Wait, hold on. What? This phase can get extremely hectic with swords both flying from the chest and at you, but believe it or not, this is the easiest phase. This phase is without a doubt the easiest phase of this boss fight. That makes sense to me, I don't know. What he does is he actually shoots his eyeballs at us that look like planets, but they're his eyeballs. And what they do is they basically just move up and down. You can either go through them or above them. In this case, we're going above them. What we want to do is hug the top of the screen and use our bombs. Any ghosts that come out of the coffin won't actually hit us, and it's pretty much impossible to take any damage during this phase. So yeah, we're just gonna cheese this phase, and then we go on to the fourth phase, which is gonna be a little bit different. Going into the fourth phase, we're instantly going to hold down the dash button, which is going to put us into mini plane mode. If we stay as the mini plane while he's doing his weird scanning thing, then we'll actually engage a secret phase of this boss fight. This completely skips the fourth phase, which I consider to be the hardest phase, and gives all of the HP to the final phase. In the final phase, not only does it have additional HP, but there's also a mini Cuphead in the middle of the screen, which shoots in all 8 directions, but it can be easily killed with a few supers. With the mini Cuphead killed, this literally just becomes the final phase. The only change is that he's given around an extra 10,000 HP. In this phase, he shoots a few weird rings at you, but they're really easy to dodge. And as you've probably noticed, there are 3 spinning triangles, and occasionally, one pyramid will shoot a laser in all 4 directions. As long as we're paying attention and we know where it's actually going to shoot, this is also really easy to dodge. Like I said, this is just an extremely long version of the final phase. And after a long time of sitting at an uncomfortable distance from him, we're done. Bruh. What did I miss? You missed the best dodges on planet Earth. Oh my god, I'm so good at this game! Dude, I'm just like... Bro, I'm evolving into cream cheese. Dude, I'm so... Let's go! You gotta be joking me. Let's go, baby. Come on. Let's go! And there we go. We're done with Inkwell Isle 2. The ground boss with the most HP was Grim Matchstick with 19,000 HP, and the ground boss that took the longest to defeat was Beppi The Clown with 13 minutes and 46 seconds. And when we're talking about our favorite kind of levels, plain levels, the boss with the most HP was Djimmi The Great with 30,600 HP, and the boss that took the longest was Wally Warbles with 17 minutes and 28 seconds. And there we go, we are officially done with Inkwell Isle 2 of this mod. If you want to see Inkwell Isle 3, let me know in the comments below and like the video. And also, if you missed Inkwell Isle 1, you can click the video link on screen right now. And as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.